Badin Sawe Lama Rinpoche Dagi Jiwan Peme Denjula Kadin Chimbo Guni Jizun Kusong Tuji Ngudub Zadu So Kusong Tuji Ngudub Zadu So Kusong Tuji Ngudub Zadu So Namo Renanda Ya Sanje Chudang Sojin Chonam La Chanju Bardo Dani Jas Dagin Junji Jebe Sunam Jien Rola Penja Sanjien Rupara Sho Sanje Chodang Sojin Chonam La Chanju Bardo Dani Dagin Junji Jebe Sunam Jien Rola Penja Sanjien Rupara Sho Sanje Chodang Sojin Chonam La Chanju Bardo Dani Dagi Chunji Jibi Sunam Jien Rola Penjira Sanjien Rupara Sho Samjien Tamjien Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dembara Jujien Dunga Dan Dunga Jien Judan Tawara Jujien Dunga Dan Dunga Damindawa Jujien Yerin Chadan Yidan Ravien Danyam Chimbolan Nebara Jujien Samjien Tamjien Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dembara Jujien Dunga Dan Dunga Jien Judan Dunga Mebe Dewa Damba Dan Mendawa Jujien Yerin Chadan Yidan Ravien Danyam Chimbolan Nebara Jujien Samjien Tamjien Dewa Dan Dewe Judan Dunga Jin Judan Dawa Jujien Dunga Mebe Dewa Dambada Mendawa Jujien Yerin Chadan Nidan Dawen Danyam Chembolan Nebra Jujien Namo Lai Kedan Ludan Nujin Ketum Tada Mika Rowa Kunja Drage Jizamba Tamje Kedo Tambe Cheten Do Dear Dhamma friends, I wish all of you a very good evening. I would also like to thank all of you for being here. I can relate to the fact that it's not easy for all of you to gather yourselves here like this in one particular spot, and it takes a great amount of effort to be here like this. So for that, first of all, I very much appreciate. Obviously, probably following that, the purpose or the reason for all of you to be here tonight, and not just tonight, of course, for having been here for the last few days and in the coming days as well. The reason for your being here would be none other than your interest in the Buddha Dharma. That's how I take it. Because beside that, there is no other reason for us to be here like this. I would like to start by, of course, pointing to the subject of this evening's program, that of the lojong, the subject of mind training, and we have pretty much around 2 hours or less than 2 hours to go through that. And I don't know if you will do a good job on that subject within less than 2 hours. Of course, I can sort of power through in a way to assume I know what you need, what you want, and then simply power through and say some intelligible things, However, the reality would be that each and every one of you would have come from a very different background from one another, and so therefore it will be a bit of a challenge, let's say, to put all of them together. And nevertheless, since we are here at KKBC Singapore, we can probably stretch more than 2 hours with which is a great luxury, and so therefore probably we can explore our interest a little bit more than the time frame suggests. So therefore, since the setting is somewhat supposed to be more informal and less traditional, and so therefore in some ways we can be more at ease. Although, of course, at the end of this topic, we may be somewhat looking forward to something that we can do as part of practice or something, rather than just talking. So maybe we can do that, but beside that, it's just another talking event, so therefore there is no real pressure. So to summarize in some ways about this topic of lojong, which is a Tibetan word, and I'm sure you have your I'm sure you have some preparation to this topic, where you would have learned that it's a Tibetan term for what is commonly known or popularly known in English as mind training. And I'm sure some of you may have also investigated the history of it, and therefore you might have some understanding about what the topic is about. And so therefore probably we can overcome many of the general or basic curiosity about what this subject is, and therefore allow us to focus on probably certain key elements of this subject. Yes, key elements. So, so now, what do you know about lojong? Yes. On one hand, it may be foreign to us. On one hand, it may seem too popular also, and therefore it is possible that we have neglected this aspect of the practice, Dharma practice, Buddha Dharma practice, and have been focusing on more on the punchline, which maybe we have done in the past few days in the form of meditation absorption forms like that of the various mantra-based practices. And so therefore somehow we are once again gathered here this evening to focus on something which would almost feel as a basic practice to go backwards almost, Therefore, we might feel, why do we do this, And so therefore, there is, or there are, in fact, many great reasons, which I think I have tried to point out in the last few days about what are the basic necessities in order to develop good samadhi or good meditation absorption. Everyone can so far hear me, yes? And in the other halls, I'm hoping it's clear too. Yes. So, yes. Now lojong, a Tibetan word. The history is very beautiful, of course, and to fast forward, it's available now, even now, which should not be the case actually, yes. There are all kinds of recipes that may have existed history-wise, but nevertheless, it's any recipe is subjected to change, decay, disappearance, and so therefore we can practically say it's a miracle that it has prevailed and is available to us now. Yes, and so this is something that we have to remember in the first place. And in this way, if you think about the history, then we can relate to the efforts of the Mahapanditas, the great learned ones, for their kindness, for their effort, to have made sure that from within their capacity to make it available for all future generations. So, having said that, now lojong or mind training, why is it important? Is it relevant on its own, let's say? If you think just on its own, probably there is no reason at all, Even if we force ourselves, probably the best thing we can get out of it is that maybe we are trying to preserve something that is about to be extinct, like any historical factors, I don't know how to put it in English, and therefore we will probably more of a participant in in preserving something that is about to be disappearing, But probably it makes more sense that it's not about preserving this teaching, commonly known in our traditional mindset. It's not about saving the lineage, Yesterday I said something about survival, and this is something that I wanted to see if our mindset is on that trend. And so, in this case, it's not about saving this teaching, this teaching doesn't need saving at all. Whereas it's more about us. In very practical terms, what will this precious Dharma do for us? Bao means to protect, is it? Or
Yes.
Yes.
Bao Chun is to maintain.
Maintain, yes. What is the term for survival?
Survival, 生存的.
Sensu.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's not about
Not
sensu.
about 保证, it's for 生存.
Although sensun or survival is not negative word, yes, which I said it last night. It's perfectly correct, given the circumstances, you know. Given the circumstances, it's perfectly correct to say "ow," you know, if you feel pain, yes. But is it all about that? Then probably not. So in that sense, it's not all about survival. I can imagine how difficult it is for a doctor, or particularly for a surgeon, to be able to maintain that that title, you know, saver of lives, or the one who cures, you know. Yet at the same time, it's almost completely an independent thing, meaning it's a case-by-case situation. And so therefore they are not able to really save or preserve or protect the patient, yes. So it's a fine line. I'm not saying that is the case, but it's somewhere there. Yes, lojong, coming back. It's meant for us, in short. Yeah, it's meant for us. It's not meant for lojong. It's not meant for the lineage. It's not meant for the Dharma. Because they don't need saving. Not that we need saving, but it's a figure of speech to say it's the Dharma doesn't need saving. Yeah? And if we are able to have a mentality, mindset like that, then maybe in one way or the other, or in our own way, make sense of, in general, any form of Dharma practice, and particularly the practice of lojong. And the mind training, the English term, none of us know whether it's appropriate enough to interpret the Tibetan term that as myself and my fellows are used to, because we speak the Tibetan language, whether this term referred to simply as, whether it, when it's translated into other languages, if it's carrying the whole meaning or not, it's difficult to say. And because mind training may suggest, although I don't know English that well, mind. I don't know how this term came into being. Similarly, the term training also is, because in a very colloquial or on the spot, it could mean something like sort of training not to demean the language, but it could almost have an impression, at least, as if we are training a pet. How do you say pet?
宠物，宠物，
Okay. Okay. So, meaning it's I don't know how also the word pet also comes from, actually. But nevertheless, there is that idea that somewhat less intelligible than us, human beings. Somehow we're educating them, training them, teaching them tricks, not to completely, of course, turn it into black and white by saying, making them more sociable or something like that, but nevertheless, somewhat I don't know, teaching them, And so probably such ideas are there, such concepts may be there, and so in the case of lojong, mind training, is it the case? Why? Because we, in our Buddhist terminologies, we have things like ordinary mind, ordinary beings, extraordinary beings, and so on. And so we might sort of take that, and then the everyday experiences we have of, about having, I don't know, animal companions and so on, and then merge them together, and because probably it's user-friendly, and think that probably it's more or less the same. So is that the case? Most likely not. Yes. So yes, the term "jiao" in Chinese. Probably, since I know even less about Chinese, so therefore I wouldn't know how the term "jiao" originates from. Probably there's something more profound behind that, but I can relate at least a little bit better with the term teaching, and then the term training in this matter. It's really essentially has nothing to do with training or teaching, I think. And in this case, the Tibetan terms are very far more eloquent in this case, far closer to the terms or the language that was spoken during the time of Shakyamuni Buddha. And so therefore, yes, there are terms more what we often relate to as lineage, which is a very quick translation of tenpa, Tibetan term tenpa, lineage. which is actually there is no real connection. Lineage and Tenpa it's quite different, I think, at least from my point of view. Tenpa means just showing the way, but somehow we have managed to put together because of the difference of languages. So in that sense, yes, mind training. If, in short, if we have some understanding of from where this interest is coming from, then probably we can allow the difference of languages, the lack of translation, sort of be, let them have their freedom or liberty, one could say. Yeah. Yes.
Teachings and the training has got nothing to do with the
Yes. With what?
You mentioned that there's nothing to do with the training and the
yes.
teachings, lojong,
Yes.
Referring to lojong.
Okay, I will rephrase. Okay, for all of our benefit. So you can start a new, fresh page. So, lojong is, and the translation of lojong in any language is out of practicality. Yeah. But we have to know that it's out of practical reasons, the translations, and it may not carry the whole meaning. Yeah. Then, having said that, this tradition of lojong has existed or has become not just to say popular, but has had great effect beyond the Himalayan regions, more towards the northern region of Himalaya for a long, long time. And now it has become available all over the world.
那现在呢，它在全世界呢我们在全世界都可以听到，可以接受到这个教法。
Yes, and so now we are trying to figure out how to make best use of this.
那我们现在要看怎么样把它好好的运用。
Is it better to use the traditional ways in order to benefit us? Or should we play around a little bit? The answer would be basically it's better to follow the tradition. At the same time, there is no harm in trying to interpret it in our own way. So, for our time, I can see no better method guide manual than the one that our teacher, the late Shaman Rinpoche, has composed the path to awakening, in terms of the lojong. It's almost, one could say, catered exactly and designed exactly for us. So, therefore, I would, for those of you who are unaware, I would very much encourage all of you to use that manual as a guideline to follow. So, then having said that, now hopefully bouncing back and forth on this subject, or myself wobbling a bit, I may have raised certain questions about this topic, and rather than being a one-sided track or something like that, I would encourage you to probably raise a certain, doubts or clarification on this subject in the form of question, and then probably I can explain a little bit better.
Okay.
So therefore, I would like to invite all of you to participate. Should you have thoughts about it, but to be mindful on this subject, without deviating too much from this subject. Otherwise, we will waste this time. 所以我请你们问一些问一些关系，可是这个关系好的话，一定要那个how to say subject
题目
那个lojong的题目，对，不是跑来跑去。
不用翻译，法王讲得很好，大家都清楚。所以有题目可以发问，我们这边呢有麦，可以让大家提问。
Maybe I'll start the ball rolling
Okay,
and ask
yes,
the first
please.
question.
Yes.
Is lojong a method for us to turn difficult experience, even suffering, into opportunity of spiritual growth and awakening?
Yes. This is a question coming from our audience already, yes? Or pre-planned?
Actually, as an MC, that's my question.
Okay, so this is on your behalf. Well, yes, this does help me. So, yes. Now, this question helps to, I suppose, to bring some clarity about what this is for, of course, although we are supposed to know what this is for. And it's from the very beginning, and then in the middle, and of course even in the end, it will be very clear that it is meant for those who wish to, in short, for the language that we are used to, either one could say to benefit all sentient beings, or to follow the ways of the Bodhisattvas. Yes, that's what it is for. Sorry, not Bodhishi, it's for, to follow the ways of the Bodhisattvas. Bodhishing is definitely there. Obviously, that's where I'm trying to go to. And so therefore, obviously, it's a method, very profound method, simple method. One method that cannot be how to say, it's an undisputed method because it's so simple. That's the reason. It's so simple that no one can doubt or contradict or anything, and any practitioner, any individual who wishes to seek for liberation will find benefit from this method. And so therefore that's what lojong is about. Yeah. So yes, now following the ways of the Bodhisattvas, what do they do the most, what they are really good at? That's the main question, I think. Ordinarily or commonly or popularly, we do know that if there are certain challenges, obstacles, adversities, there are means to somehow prevent them, block them, and probably mostly along that line. But in the case of the Bodhisattvas, I'm not trying to promote any martial arts or anything, but nevertheless, the idea of judo comes into being, although I know nothing about it. You can see my physical. This would not promote judo, but somehow the idea of judo, at least, let's say, that somehow turning not necessarily to say the opponent, but the circumstance, I suppose it's more like being a cat rather than a dog. Dogs are more person-based, Cats are more place-based, yes. So therefore, rather than saying opponent as a person, it's the circumstance, like a cat, and turn that circumstance around. Probably there's something to do with judo, I don't know. And so therefore, Bodhisattva's method is something like that, where turning that circumstance, as you mentioned, turning the adversity into a friendly one, into a manageable one. Not just a manageable one, but a beneficial one. Yes, that's what lojong is about. Yes. I'm not a cat person, although or dogs have accompanied me on occasions, but not with cats or from cats, and so therefore I don't know much. But from the little that I can see is that the cats react to the environment more as a situation, circumstance, not really as an individual, Anyway, that's not here nor there. So yes, the answer is very much, I think, from my side, that which is, of course, obviously not just from my side, but that the lojong topic itself very clearly suggests that it's about becoming a bodhisattva, and the unavoidable obstacles, should they be, or if we were able to transform them into friendly ones, then there is nothing like it, rather than trying to block them or prevent them. So therefore, and it would probably make sense because, yes, we can forecast, predict various mishaps that could take place in one's life or in daily life, we can prepare for them. But there are so many other things that we just cannot, as we say in our modern term, compute, that if we do, then we will be in a constant state of panic and nothing else. And so therefore, obviously we cannot be in that state of constant panic and be frozen. And so therefore, what do we do, So then it's more like saying, being a cat. Yes. Dogs are restless. I love them, but they're restless and constantly seeking for attention and validation, you know. If not, they can simply cease to exist, you know. Cats, no. They don't need any kind of validation. Yes. They're completely independent, and therefore we cannot seek for, I don't know, almost emotional connection in a way, in some ways. Yes. Or the way we want them to. Yeah. 猫呢，好像他们什么都不需要。So, therefore, meaning cats, to translate, to a cat doesn't seem to need anything from us, to be more clear in English. And so therefore, it's very, very difficult to relate, actually. Yeah. We think of them as pets, we think of them as companions, but the way they relate to us is actually unpredictable. Yes, there are many, by now, experts who have deciphered how to call for cats, how to relate to them, something as you know. If you say that, it's a command where you will connect with them. I've tried it, it didn't work. So I gave up. So, but somehow, can they connect with us? Yes, they do. Yes, but not really as an individual. Yes, they see us in. I think some experts, they say they relate to us as a fellow cat in a different form. Very interesting. Yes. But my theory is they see us as a circumstance, not as a person, not really as a place, but a circumstance. And so therefore, every circumstances change, and accordingly, they relate to us that way. How do you say circumstances? 环境 yeah, 对。对他们，我们都是一个环境，对。So we can learn from that a little bit, I think. And so therefore, although of course seeing oneself and seeing others as individuals is a very, very unique thing for us. Yes, this we cannot forget. And more than that, it's only us, human beings, we have this ability. Yeah, cats doesn't have that, dogs doesn't have that, gods doesn't have that. Only we do. Yeah, we have this very unique ability to see ourselves as individuals and see others as individuals. And of course, we can multiply and subtract from there as collective and greater collectives, and so on. Tianren, Sanren, Suren, Suiren, and none of them, none of them have what we have. Yeah? Meaning beings of the sky, beings of the wind, water, earth, and so on. None of them have what we have. Yeah. So this is something we have to cherish, we have to be proud of, yet allow the other perspectives, yeah, like that of the cat. Yeah. Meaning the cat's perspective, meaning it's meaning to see the surrounding or the situation as situation, but not as person, you, me. You know. Obviously, we can argue by saying that cats can behave like human beings and dogs. Yes, if we train them, obviously we can. But on their own, they have that unique quality. So, now, from that perspective, then if you can see the other way, you know, that's seeing everything as circumstances. First of all, seeing everything as circumstances, and probably not as individuals. Probably that's the first step. Then, from there, if we are used to it, we have practiced enough, then maybe we can even begin to play with it a little bit, you know, and see if I try to, well, not to say manipulate, but somehow if I play with it, can I turn it around, you know? And so therefore, lojong is a very beautiful method where we play with it. So the term practice, is it? No. Practice, how do you say practice?
修持.
Show. Probably, since I don't know Chinese that well, probably it has far better meaning than practice, you know, the English term. But nevertheless, when I use English, I prefer words like play rather than practice. Because although practice may be a very good word, and very appropriate in many ways, play has this, the moment you hear the word play, you naturally feel that it is completely opposite from work, yes? And therefore feel at ease, feel relaxed. And if we are experienced enough, educated enough, if we can convince the new practitioners into understanding, for them to understand that it's more of a play rather than a work, it will be, I think, that much more. You will be able to bring enthusiasm out of them, you know, far better than saying it's a practice. Yeah. Yes. So I have been fortunate enough to have my precious teachers who were tough but yet very playful, you know. And so therefore, I felt very lucky to be motivated by them in that sense. Yes, yeah. And so I would very much like for us to have that spirit in a way. That it's not really hard work, but we have to at the same time respect why the traditional terms are there, you know, such as practice, 3 eons, purification, dedication, all that. We have to understand also, you know, that such language is there is so that then well, it's more of knowing that it's a fine line. It's always a fine line. That if we continue to say play, then we will lose the value of it, which was something that I was trying to convey yesterday and day before about initiations. If the initiations there in, let's say, 24/7, and like a convenient store, we could just go in, go out, then we would not pay much attention. For that reason, yes, and there are such words like practice. So anyway, from the first question, I think I may have summed up a little bit about it. Yes. So now we have a few other questions formed up.
We have lots of questions. Some of the questions are actually from our friends who are actually on the other level because they can't get into the
Yes.
hall. Please say hello
Okay.
to them.
Yes, of
also.
course.
Yes. So in lojong, we have to turn obstacle into the path.
Yes.
So what about health issue? From yesterday, you talk about survivor. Health issue can be an obstacle. And how can we turn that into the path?
Health issue.
Health issue.
Health issue, yes. Yes. Health is one of those things that that gets neglected, I suppose, more often than not. Especially when we're young, we're healthy enough, then, and particularly if our parents have had good genes, let's say, then we feel that it's just the health issues are just stories, nothing more. But we all know when we reach a certain age that it is an issue, yes, and we kind of regret a lot actually that we didn't make good use of our first 20 years. Well, we cannot say first 20 years, but anyway, from the moment we were quite cognitive, from that moment onwards, why didn't we make good use of it and so on, yes. So then, well, that is there, but beside that, then now health in general is a very interesting subject, because we can only think of health, or good health in this case, without only if there is the opposite, bad health. Yeah? And so therefore, that's something to think about.